everyone and welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be a palette collection video. So what I'm going to do is go through all the palettes in my collection and let you know my thoughts on them. And I will also let you know what new palette is coming out that I would really like to add to my collection. So here we go, let's just get stuck in and I can show you the palettes. So here are all my palettes all together, so you can have a wee look. As you can probably see straight away, most of my palettes are drugstore. I have a couple of the higher end ones, but to be honest, it takes a lot for me to splash out in a palette. If I can get good quality for drugstore prices, then I'm not likely to spend a lot on a palette. I'm just too grippy, basically. So what I'm going to do is go through each one individually. Obviously, the ones that have got clear packaging, you can already see the colour story in there, but let's have a wee look through them one by one. Okay, so we're going to start off with my only palette from NYX. I'm surprised I don't have more of these because I really enjoy the quality of this one, but it is the only one that I currently have. So, as you can see, this is the inside of the palette. You can see I've kind of made indents in quite a lot of the shades because I actually do use this one quite a lot. I really like, kind of doing like a neutral look with these three shades here, sometimes sort of deepening up with a more purpley shade. I got this in a Christmas set, I'm sure that's where I got it from. And I've not seen it sold separately. And I've been interested in getting some of the other palettes, but none of them has really jumped out at me. So I've not actually bought one yet. And as you can see, the box is really weird and spiky. I don't actually like it being that spiky. So it's called Full Throttle, and it's a really lovely palette, and I would definitely recommend this one. But like I say, I think it came in a Christmas set, so I don't know if this is one you can pick up now. Let's go over into e.l.f. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of e.l.f. palettes. I just did a review on all of the bite-sized palettes. So these are the 8 bite-sized palettes that I still have. I technically still have the other 2, so I'll just grab them here. This is the other 2 that complete the collection. This is these 2 here. Now, I've decided to keep these in my collection and get rid of these 2 because I don't really think they're for me. The other ones, obviously, these are really neutral and lovely. This is a bit too red tone for me. And then, obviously, they've got the kind of green tones here, some blues. And these are just too yellowy green for me. If you've seen my video, I'll link it up here, my video on what my thoughts are for all of these individually. So I'll get rid of those that I'm a way to declutter. And then the other in my collection is this Mad for Matte palette from e.l.f. Now this one was a free gift with purchase because I buy so much from e.l.f. So this is what the Mad for Matte Holy Smokes palette looks like. Obviously you've got kind of a lot of neutral shades here, and then more darker bluey tones here. Now this palette's kind of a weird one for me. Like, I do use it, but I don't really use it as a complete palette. I use the black most often for liners in my other looks, and I often brighten with this white. And I have made a little matte look here with these sort of neutral shades in the middle. I can't say I particularly like these shades very much. Will use them from time to time, but they're not a favourite. So I keep this one around because I do use it and it was free, but it's not a palette that I would say run out and get, if that makes sense. If when it comes to the day that I don't use it anymore, I won't feel that sad about getting rid of it, but I currently have it in my collection. And then here we go on to the e.l.f. palettes here. So like I said, I've just recently done a video on what my thoughts are on these palettes, so I won't go into them too much. These ones, I would say, are all fairly solid in quality. I would say the blue is the least sort of high ranking in terms of quality. I mainly kept it for this blue shade right here because I think it's really pretty. The rest, I would say, are really high quality. You wouldn't be disappointed with any of them. I adore minty greens, so obviously I had to get the mint collection when that came out. And all these are very neutral with like a touch of pink and a touch of orange. This one is good for smoky looks. This one's good kind of like an everyday look. So they all have a little place in my collection. I use them for different things. So I'm quite happy to keep them all. And I love using quads. I just feel like there's less decision fatigue. When you pick up a quad, you can only use 4 shades. And I prefer that. I often find with my bigger palettes, which I'll get to, is that I often don't know what kind of look to do because there's too much choice. So picking up one of these palettes with a mood, and I'm like, right, I can make a palette, I can make a look out of it,
I'm really chuffed with that. So I love these in my collection. I would say these are up there with my favourite palettes at the moment. Sticking with drugstore, the next couple are from Revolution. So this first one here is from the Revolution Reloaded palette. That's it opened up here. I really like this palette. Now, I won't lie, I bought this palette because it was a kind of cheap dupe of the Anastasia Subculture palette. That one obviously got so many mixed reviews about being a compressed pigment type thing, not easy to work with, and I really wasn't wanting to spend 40 quid on a palette that wasn't amazing, because I'm not keen on that. When it's a drugstore palette, I feel like you can allow for, you know, things not being as what you'd expect. I think this one was only about £4 or something like that. And I've used this one quite a lot. Again, I would say I would use kind of these darker tones here as liner. These greens are more my style. I said earlier I got rid of this palette here from e.l.f. So as you can see, I said I didn't like this kind of tone of green, but I prefer these more kind of tealy khaki type greens. That's more my jam. I love this shimmer shade here. That's really pretty. I can't say I use the oranges much, but they're fine. I can get a nice neutral look with it. I do use this. Again, it's one of those that if the day comes, I don't use it very much. I won't mind if it goes, but at the moment, I'm quite happy with its position in my collection. This one is called the Smoky Neutrals palette. Yeah, you can see this is the Smoky Neutrals, and you can tell I've made a big dent in this one here. Typical, the lightest shade in the palette, but obviously I use that as like a transition shade because I'm very fair-skinned. I really like this. Now, these blue shades here are very easy to use and very blendable. They're better than the blues in the e.l.f. palette that I kept. So let's have a look for that one to compare. So yeah, I would say these two shimmers here are better than those two shimmers in quality. And I really enjoy this palette. Like, this colour here is quite nice. It's like a khaki green colour. You've got some nice kind of mauvey neutrals. And I also like the kind of goldy tones in there too. I've used this palette quite a lot. You can kind of see I've left my mark on quite a few of the shades. And again, I really, really like it. So this one is staying in my collection for now. Again, it was about £4 and I'm quite happy with what I've gotten out of it so far. Even if I never use this palette again, I'm happy that I more than definitely got my money's worth of it. The Flawless Chilled palette. This one comes with a mirror there, so I'm just going to leave that kind of out of sight. Now, this palette, again, has that lovely shades of green that I really like. So they're not too yellowy. They're more bluey toned greens, which I really, really enjoy. Now, I don't think I love this palette as much as I used to. I was obsessed with this palette when I first bought it because of my love of greens. I don't know if the quality's gone down over time. I've probably had it about a year now, and it wasn't expensive. It was probably about the £10-12 mark. I can get a really nice kind of a neutral look with these ones here. They are really, really pretty, and like I say, these greens, they're really, really nice. Sometimes the look I make is accidentally too loud. I'm not a big fan of loud looks, but if I can blend it out, I can get quite a nice look with it. These sort of glitter ones here, kind of zoom in there. So Bud, Goddess, and Hybrid, they're a different formula. They're really glittery and like bitty, so you can maybe see there. I didn't think that through. Now I have glitter all over my hands. Yes, I just wiped it on my t-shirt. Anyway, I don't like those. I think they're a wasted space in the palette. I have used them with glitter glue, and I just don't think the effect is worth the mess. I much prefer these kind of shimmery ones here. They're much nicer. This Candyland shade is fabulous, but I must admit it's very, very bold, but it's really, really nice. So yeah, I do like this palette. I'm very tempted to get rid of this one and get the mini that seems to have come out recently, where it's got like a couple of these shades here and like maybe a couple of these shades here, although they at least wasted one of the spots with these stupid glitter shades that I really don't like, and it maybe seems a bit daft to get rid of a palette that already has those colours in it. But I'm really falling out of love with big palettes, because when I open this up, if I'm opening it up in the morning, I just find that there's too many colours to look at, and I'm really over these bigger palettes. And you know, this isn't even that big. There were some palettes for a while that had like 30 odd shades in them, and I never bought any of those. I just always found them too much. But yeah, I'm definitely not opening these up and feeling as inspired as I used to. But I keep it around because I do adore greens. And actually, while I'm on this topic, there is a palette out or coming out soon. It's from Sigma, and it's the Ivy palette, I think. And I'm really, really keen to get that one. I'll pop a picture in the screen. I'll pop a picture in the screen somewhere around here to compare. And I won't lie, when I get that, if I get that one and I like it really a lot, I might get rid of this one because I don't feel like I need that many duplicate type of things in my collection. But that is a possibility for the future. But at the moment, this one is staying in my collection. So the last of my drugstore kind of price range palettes is the Milani Soft and Sultry. This one is obviously discontinued now, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know why on earth they made that decision. I can't stand the mirrored, like there's me. I can't stand the mirrored palette here. It just gets covered in finger marks. It's always messy. I hate it. Now, these shades are absolutely beautiful, very cool toned, neutral tones, really, really pretty. Again, I can kind of make quite a few different neutral looks with this. I would say this shade up here is not the best, but you can kind of get away with using it as a bit of a topper, but it's not the best. These shimmers are lovely. These are lovely kind of liner shades. And I must admit, I kind of tend to just follow like a 4-way. I kind of use it as 3 quads together for the most part. I really like these shades at the top though. I think they're lovely. I do like this palette a lot. Although I have heard that it stops performing as well after about the 6-month mark. So I don't know. We'll see if it holds up. If it does, I will be a bit disappointed because I feel like it was like 20 odd quid. So I feel like it should last longer than that. But although, what does it say on the back? Yeah, it says in the back it should last 24 months. So if it doesn't last at least that, I think that's a bit cheeky. But like I say, it's been discontinued, but I do enjoy it for the minute and it's not going anywhere for now. So now we're going to go into the higher end palettes in my collection, which are the Anastasia Sultry palette, the Anastasia Norvina palette, and then this little one here from Lancome. I actually had to check that. So we'll go with the little one first. This one I didn't actually buy. This one was a friend of mine's and she got rid of it because she hates green. I think this was a gift, but green is literally her least favourite colour. So when I saw her clearing this out, I was like, I have to have that. That's amazing. I adore the colours in this palette. So you can probably see straight away why I adore this palette. Oh, dog hair. So yeah, you've got a lovely kind of deeper green here, lighter green here. They're all shimmers, I should say. I don't think the quality of this palette's amazing. I'm sure this was quite expensive with it being Lancome. It looks like it had obviously come with a brush at some point, but that never came to me. I can get a really nice muted green look with this, which I really, really like because it's muted. I don't know if that's because the shadows are not very pigmented or whatever, but I really like the look that I get with this palette, and I tend to do the same look pretty much every time. I don't use this one up here very much, but I kind of do this one all over the lid, this one kind of more at the outer corner, this in the crease, and that's kind of what I do every time with this palette, and I really like it. So I'm not saying run out and buy this. I don't even know if it still exists, to be honest. I don't think makeup from brands like Lancome and stuff, I don't think they're amazing. I often think you just pay for the name. I definitely wouldn't say it was like, it doesn't feel particularly high quality, but I like the look I get with it. So that's why it stays in my collection. I am sure it's expired though. I don't even want to know how old this is. So the first high-end palette I ever bought is the Norvina palette from Anastasia. It is filthy because of the bloody felt thing. It's one of those palettes. It was gorgeous when I first bought it, and it now looks rank, but anyway. I bought this palette in a trip to, now was it Manchester? I'm pretty sure it was Manchester. And I was so excited to get a hold of this palette because I'd been looking at it for ages, but I'd never seen it in person. But then I got to see it in person when I was on that trip. And I'm so happy that I bought it. It's not wanting to open at the minute. There we go. Now, this one has a bit of a dent in it. So as you can see, I've hit pan on, again, the most neutral shade in the palette. And I've hit pan on Dreamer. Oh my goodness, how messy is this palette? It's the one thing I will say about Anastasia's shadows I found is that there's a lot of kick up from them. They make the palette so messy. So purple is one of my favourite colours. I don't wear it as much now as I used to. I'm more into sort of my greens, but I bought this because I love purples. So yeah, obviously it's really just those couple of shades I would say that make it a purple palette, and the rest are neutrals, and I would say I do more neutrals with this palette than anything else. I adore this shade, which is very reminiscent of the e.l.f. one. The reason that I'm keeping e.l.f. is to make it slightly darker. But I think this is a beautiful palette. The quality is amazing. The brush is even pretty decent, so I don't regret buying this palette at all. I've absolutely got my money's worth from it, and I still love all the looks that I do with it. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful, and the mattes blend like a dream. I'm not sure what the quality is like of the more recent Anastasia palettes, but I definitely can't fault this one. I think it's fantastic. And last of all, we have the Sultry palette by Anastasia, which I also think has been discontinued. So apparently I have a thing for buying palettes that are not going to stand the test of time, but yet they're ones that I don't regret buying equally. So this one is the more neutral palette of Anastasia. Again, made a massive dent in Fresh, and yeah, a beautiful neutral palette. I have used all of the shades. I mean, I have used this one. It just doesn't look like it. It's more these tones here, I would say I use the most often. I think this is a stunning palette. I absolutely adore it. I don't regret buying it again. And I can't believe they discontinued it, to be honest, because I think it's such a stunning palette that is so versatile. But yeah, this is a great one. So this is also one of my favourites in my collection. Again, I'd say with the two Anastasia ones, I love the quality of them. But because of my kind of obsession with quads at the minute, they're being left in the dust a little bit. But I should try and use them more because I do still love them so much. And it seems daft to have such nice palettes in my collection and pick up ones that are £4 instead of the ones that are £40. But this is what I mean. I feel like, you know, like I say with my e.l.f. ones here, these are like £3 and £4 and this is 40 plus for these, and I adore these. So this is where I don't often think it's worth buying very high-end palettes unless you're kind of a collector of them or you just are a complete makeup lover, which I am, but I am a bit of a cheapskate, so that is something. But yeah, that's the mess of my collection. We've gone through them now. And yeah, I adore all of these palettes, and they kind of have to earn their right to stay in my collection because I don't want my collection getting too big because I find it overwhelming. As you've probably guessed, I find palettes with too many shades overwhelming, so too many palettes is not the best either. These ones kind of don't count because I almost kind of think of them as like kind of part of palettes that have been broken apart. But that's my own little defense in my head. Don't argue with me. So, like I said, that is all of my collection. Just piling them up there, ready to go back into my makeup storage. I honestly think I have too many palettes for what I need. I've obviously told you I'm getting rid of the two e.l.f. ones that I told you about. I realistically don't need this one, but I do use it, so it stays. It's kind of those kind of things. And there's a couple here that I would say are kind of coming out of my taste. You know, things that are not so much my taste anymore. But at the moment, they are all quite secure in their place in my collection. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again for another one very soon. Catch you later.